halowars has a ton of different units to choose from, but today I wanted to answer one simple question. Can you beat the game using one of the worst units available? The Cobra is an anti-vehicle unit that also has a siege mode ability to become an anti-building unit. They require tech level 3, they struggle versus hunters, and also they can't hit air units. Yeah, Cobras are... Let's go over some rules. This run was done on legendary difficulty. I wasn't allowed to use skulls, and also I am allowed to use other units if the mission requires it. And once I build a base, I'll sacrifice my units by doing the shimmy or whatever. We'll be skipping these missions because Cobras don't exist on them. Kinda hard to do a Cobra only challenge on those missions. Cobras take forever to construct. So the first half of most missions is basically halowars Idle Tower Defense Edition. But once we get our first Cobra out and going, we can actually begin the fun. This mission is different from most others in this challenge because it doesn't throw air units at us. Once we get a few Cobras, we will approach the Covenant's base. Buildings don't stand a chance against Cobras. They just melt. Now, unfortunately, there is a force field that blocks our path, and vehicles can't go through it. The only way to disable it is to destroy the generator by using some infantry units. Once that is done, we can actually continue the challenge and push forward to the final stretch, destroying the detonator. And since the detonator is considered a building, yeah, it just melts. This mission made me question everything. My life, my choices, my tolerance for suffering. The Covenant did not want me to beat this mission. They even resorted to cheating. I wouldn't fail the mission because I made some mistakes. I failed the mission because the game decided, nope, not today kid, lol. But it's not all bad though. We get a little breathing room at the start, forage in some hornets for a few precious minutes. We got two objectives with them: kill as much Covenant units as possible, and also collect as much supply crates as possible. Once we get control of our base, the true challenge begins. We're hoping many things go our way. We hope the Covenant doesn't attack our own base with too many units, that the Spartans' AI actually hijacks the vampire instead of throwing their lives away. We also need the Spartans to at least defend one plane and keep it alive. The final thing, that the mega turret doesn't randomly snipe the planes. The whole point of the mission is to keep at least one transport plane alive, but that's very difficult when the main threat is air units. Is there any way to defend ourselves? The big brain move is doing nothing. No, seriously actually. We will actually park our Cobras at the edge of the platform right here. That's far enough away from the plane, so that way it doesn't get hit by the mega turret splash damage. And also in a direction where the banshees and vampires like to come at us. We become the bait. And as long as we provide enough meat shield and health to protect the plane, red team can deal with the air units for us. Now, ground units will try to come up and attack the plane, but our Cobras and Carpet Bomb can deal with them. After multiple failed attempts, I finally got good RNG. Arcadia Outskirts was actually a very fun and unique mission. We're actually given Cobras for free. Now, about 90% of the time, they just get shot down, but every so often though, one survives. And when it does, it's a huge poggers moment. They really help defend the base. Now, there is a mega turret that does attack us, and we need to deal with it. You see, the mega turret fires at our base in regular intervals, and then if you just time it just right, you can shoot a mag blast in the brief window while it's exposed. I grabbed the second base and build up my entire army. I found out that Cobras in lockdown mode outrange literally everything. I felt very powerful here and deleted the Covenant's base from half a mile away, and they didn't even know what hit them. The only good thing about this mission is that for each location, it wasn't really that hard to clear out the location. The Cobras actually did a surprisingly good job on it, when hunters were not involved. Once we clear out the first 3 locations, we need to move fast for the 4th and 5th location, because once these locations open up, we get bombarded by waves and waves of enemy forces attacking our base. But if we can quickly get the rhinos to location 4 and 5, that's not something we need to worry about. Now, this beam sweeps across the map, moving back and forth. Its speed can be reduced by destroying these power nodes, which we desperately need to do. Now, with the reduced speed, the strat is to bait the Scarab into attacking one of our units. One problem I actually was having was timing of when to bait and when to go in, how long, how far to move. That's when I noticed this wire thing here. It has little metal notches on it, and I realized I could use it as a reference. And once I did that, it was actually super easy to beat this mission. I will have my entire army on the left side, locked down in siege mode, and one single little silly guy playing with death on the right side. When the Scarab gets low, the Covenant sends tons of locusts and hunters to our base. Thankfully, with a few Cobras and our turrets, it's enough to defend the base. And with that, we have vanquished the Scarab. Only when we save the first elephant, Captain Cutter gives us access to build a base. And all I had to do was wipe out one measly flood turret and a few flood units. The only real challenge on this mission was keeping the elephants alive from these stupid brutes. Once the Cobras were online, I steamrolled through the flood defenses. Now there are air units on this mission, aka the birds. No. Wait. But thankfully, they are not in swarms, which means they're not really an issue and we can just ignore them and focus on our objective, which honestly was really easy to destroy. Oh boy, Shield World. In every challenge, I am terrified of this mission, and with Cobras only, it was no different. Now, one thing I decided to do differently compared to my "Can you beat halowars with only Marine squads" video was allowing the use of building gremlins for extra time. I thought long and hard about this, and I felt like not allowing the use of gremlins just for the sake of the mission's gimmick was laying the solo unit down, which isn't fair to the unit. So unlike that last previous video, this time we're actually allowed to build gremlins for all the power nodes. This way we can actually focus on the solo unit and how it will overcome this mission in a normal playthrough, not force it to be played without engaging with the mission's intended mechanic. So I might make a follow-up video on trying to beat Shield World with no skulls and just Marine squads and allowing the use of gremlins. So you might see that in the future. Anyways, all we really need to do is destroy the flood turrets and bases and just ignore everything else except for the main objective, which turned out to be surprisingly effective strategy. Now, we do kind of have an answer to the birds with our cryo bomb ability. We don't really have time to upgrade this ability during this mission since we are on the strict timer, but even at the base level, it does just enough for us by freezing the birds in place. Against all beliefs, Cobras actually thrived here. This is probably like one of the best performing missions for them, which honestly I never expected. For a mission full of tight corners and birds, it made no sense to me why they worked. Once Bravo is clear, we can actually escort the units back to our base. A Pelican tries to escort Bravo units, but it gets shot down by the flood, so we have to escort them back to our base, which honestly isn't that hard. We'll just use our Cobras as meat shields and keep moving. With other missions, the tower defense minigame we play wasn't very difficult, except for this mission. Banshees are constantly attacking our base, and the Covenant keeps sending ground units at us. It took me a few tries, but eventually with some close calls, we stabilize. Once we actually hit that point, I can actually start building Cobras, and I will use 3 Cobras to help defend this base from ground forces. Now, even though that the start of this mission was the hardest part, it doesn't mean the rest of this mission was easy. We'll still need to destroy 3 Covenant's bases and capture and hold all 4, which is easier said than done. Getting to second base was pretty tough. Dealing with hunters and on their elite guards was very tricky, but thankfully time was on my side. Even if I lost my entire army, I could just rebuild and keep trying. Once we reached the second base, we completely annihilated it. Now, the third base. That was the toughest to destroy. I tried going in from the side at first, but that didn't work. So I went in from below, but after wiping the base out, I realized something. There's no way I'll be able to clear this entire area of Covenant units. So I actually need to save this base for last. That meant it was time to move on to the 4th location. We need to take this teleporter, but to get to the teleporter, we have to pass through the 3rd location. I had a little laugh to myself and thought, what if I just request the shortest Pelican trip known to man? I'm pretty sure the Pelican pilots were like, bro, why don't you just walk over there yourself? I guess drive because you're in the vehicle. That's the fastest I ever destroyed a Scarab. And maybe I killed it too fast because I don't know why, but the elite honor guards glitched out. Just like we handle base 3, we'll do the same thing here. We set up, lock down, and delete Covenant's presence. Now that we hold all 3 bases, we need to make a quick stop back at location 3. We destroy the Covenant's base again, and as long as we control the area for even a second, it counts as the mission being completed. This mission feels like it should be difficult. It got a lot going for it. You're moving a reactor via an elephant, there's flood in this mission, there's Covenant, and usually the Covenant attacks your base with wave after wave at the start. But for whatever reason, they just never attacked me. I don't know if the AI took a nap or what, but I was not complaining though. I used the downtime to build up a full Cobra squad and absolutely rolled the enemy. With all the Wraiths and Locusts on the field, our Cobras had a field day. There were some air units on this mission, but honestly, they didn't really do much. I just ignored them and worked out fine. Destroying the 2nd and 3rd base was also very easy, and I didn't even need a ton of Cobras to do it. Especially because next mission is the final mission. Thank goodness for the Leader Power Pelican transport. For the low price of 200 supplies, it let us move our Cobras across the map to anywhere we have vision. That means we can just drop them right onto a door, quickly clear the area, unlock it from both sides, then zip zap to the next one. Our objective is to close all 6 doors. Now, 5 of these doors aren't that difficult to deal with, but one of them actually gave me a lot of trouble. No matter how much I cleared out the area around it, it just refused to give me the trigger to activate the door. I started to panic, genuinely worried that I wouldn't be able to finish the mission, but through pure brute force, sending wave after wave of Cobras to their deaths on a legit suicide mission, I was eventually able to clear out enough of the area to finally activate it. And that is the final mission beaten of Can You Beat Halowars with only Cobras? The answer is yes. Not only can you beat Halowars with Cobras, as some parts of the campaign, they were actually even considered good, which is not something I expected going into this. I really thought that doing all Cobras would be a way worse of a thing to do. Now, there were definitely parts of this challenge that I was like, okay, Cobras are complete ass, and this is very difficult. But my expectations were broken though. Well, thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe for more Halo Wars challenge videos.